Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Good day to all of you beautiful people out there who are following us. You are welcome to the Tuesday edition of Money Radio. And of course, today being Tuesday, we are on to the agriculture segment of Money Radio. Today we are discussing an important topic: the rising price of bread and wheat related products in Nigeria. Of course, you will agree that it's a touching issue because bread is one of not just the world's staple, but Nigeria's staple. Yes. And so to discuss that issue with me in the studio is Mr. Paul Uwadima. You're welcome, Mr. Paul.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm your host, Case Hammond. So you're welcome. Like I said, the rising cost of bread and other products related to wheat in Nigeria. The thing is beginning to touch not just our pockets, but it's sinking deep into our pockets. The cost of bread is actually increasing. Before now, bread was one of the cheapest things one could get on the streets, but it's becoming a staple, not just a staple for, I wouldn't even say staple, it's becoming food for the rich, so to speak, right now. And for the poor, it's becoming out of reach, which is, I would say, bad news. Bread, the world's staple, Nigeria's staple. We talk about rice when the rice is it's an issue of choice. You can choose not to eat rice. You can choose not to eat some of the other countries' staples, such as gari, fufu, yam. You can choose not to. But bread is something we consume almost every day, and that's is problem when we talk about.
Yes. Because bread is a major staple in the country, and this is supposed to be a food that is easily available for the masses, because it's a product that can be eaten virtually anyhow. You don't need to cook it.
Exactly.
You can eat it and drink water. People eat it and drink water, eat it and with their mineral or whatever they want to take. It's a common staple. People take it for granted that even if they don't have kerosene in the house, they don't have gas, they can rest assured that if they can get bread, they'll have something to eat.
Bread has
worrying about how to cook it.
Bread has actually gotten an acronym, BBC. Bread, butter, and coke.
Yes.
Coke. So it's because the thing is ubiquitous and
it's readily handy and available at every street corner.
So bread is important.
Of course.
What's the way out of
it? Is important
because my way of
yes. Bread is important because if it's because we are in a country where we endure a lot. A lot of countries, governments have been changed because of price of bread.
Yes, I agree with you. I could readily name a number of them.
There are histories where many Arab countries revolts because of cost of bread. So that's how important bread is in the world in general. So, but what we are seeing now it should not surprise us, because it's part of the general inflation and the state of Nigerian economy. In May this year, Association of Master Bakers and the caterers of Nigeria, they increased the price of bread by 30%. Of course, many people may not notice it, but after their meeting in Abuja, they gave reasons why the price of bread has to go up. They talk about the high cost of production. They talk about the high cost of ingredients used in making bread, and then they talk about double taxation and all other challenges they face. When they calculated it, they feel that the price of bread and other related products like biscuits have to go up by 30%. And there's a popular saying that we don't eat bread because of the benevolence of the baker.
Yeah.
You know
That was Adam Smith.
Yes. What that statement means is that the man who is baking bread is not baking because he wants to make sure that you don't get bread.
Mm-hmm.
He doing it because he's out for business. It is for making profits.
Yes.
He wants to get a return on his investment, and when he doesn't get it, the price is going to shift unless something is done to bring balance between demand and supply.
So why have we gotten to this point? That must be a contributing factor that arises from the production of raw material of bread,
Yes.
which is wheat.
Wheat is a key ingredient for making
Flour.
Flour.
Yeah.
It's a key ingredient for making flour.
So why?
In Nigeria, we are barely producing 63,000 metric tons. That's what we could produce by wheat farmers in Nigeria. Whereas our demand for wheat is 5 million metric tons annually. So you can see the gap. So
Wow.
the bulk of the wheat used in this country by millers and others, flour millers and those who are into production of things that require wheat like semolina and all the rest of them.
Oh, so semolina is
yes, they are all produced with
wheat
flour. Yes. So because of it, the demand is high, and the production by National Association of Nigerian wheat farmers cannot meet up with what even though they claim that they can be able to supply adequately, but I see it as political statement, because from all indication, if you are producing only 63,000 tons per annum and the country needs 5 million tons, you are nowhere near it. But something
that is between 1.2 and 1.5% of the country's demand for wheat.
Yes.
So we have 98.8 or 98.5% that we import of wheat.
Yes.
That we import. Now, is that a recent development, or it has always been underproduction of wheat?
It has always been like this. We have been a net importer of wheat for a very long time. That is the truth.
So,
Nigeria has been a net importer of wheat. We neglected agriculture for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's part of the price we have to pay.
Mr. Paul, is it that the Nigerian soil is inimical to the production of wheat, or it's just outright neglect?
I think I'll blame it on outright neglect.
So Nigerian soil does produce wheat.
Yes, we grow wheat in Nigeria. There are many parts of north central, northwest of Nigeria that have been very noted for growing wheat.
There's something
it can also grow in other parts of the country, but it's just that there is no determination to encourage wheat growing. Perhaps because we are being blinded by the free oil money that are coming in all the time. So that sector has been neglected for a long time.
It's amazing. Not amazing. It's surprising how economics in Nigeria is it's amazing the economics of Nigeria, because basically everything, almost everything about economics is demand and supply.
and supply.
When there is a demand for this product, of course, it means there is money to be made from the production of that or the supply of that product. But when you have a demand like 98.5 or 98.8% demand for a particular product, and then you have people supplying just 1.2 or 1.5% of that product, it defies economics.
And that's told you, out of these 5 million tons that we import, because most basically we import the almost 5 million tons
Yes.
per annum. Nigeria spend $2 billion annually to
Two
import goods.
billion
Yes, that
naira.
is it.
Not naira, dollars.
Dollars. That's what we spend.
Convert
bring
that
wheat
to
into
naira is something in the neighborhood of 1 trillion naira.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
right.
about 1 trillion naira that is
So,
spent.
so you can imagine if we're able to bridge the gap. Supposing we are producing enough wheat for the for domestic consumption, you can that's the kind of money we'll be saving for the country.
You know, interestingly, I was in a program yesterday at the NESG where I was privileged to be one of the interviewers of the group managing director of flour mills, Mr. Omoboyede Olusanya. And he revealed that they have to innovate, that flour mills has to innovate, is the group managing director of flour mills. He said they have to innovate to be able to mix what they are having to import with what they have produced locally. And not just that, they go into extra prodding of the local farmers, empowering them by giving them the right prices and giving them agricultural implements to make sure that enough wheat is produced. Otherwise, they won't be able to compete with foreign.
Yes, but there have been efforts in the past to bridge the gap by looking for substitution. Which substitution? That was when the wheat cassava bread fund initiative came up.
I don't know if
it was part of the process to bridge the gap to substitute wheat with cassava.
Yeah.
Are you getting it? That initiative was essentially to encourage bakers to use 10% of cassava
All right.
in the production of bread.
Okay.
Are you getting it? But like a lot of things that government initiatives, sometimes they don't carry it out to the letter, and it's like Jonathan left and nobody talks about that. But the efforts being done now to encourage bakers to use 10% of cassava, because cassava flour is readily available in Nigeria. You know, we are among the world's largest producers of cassava.
Yeah.
So we have comparative advantage in cassava production. So if that is embraced fully by bakers, and they are given the enabling environment to be able to, to have it, because I understand that some of the sophisticated equipment they need to produce this cassava flour in such a blending way that it can harmonize with the bread
flour, yeah.
To make bread is lacking. Only about 2% of bakers can afford it. But that's the gap that the private sector can fill.
Yes,
they can. People can set up companies that are specialized in creating or producing cassava flour.
We support that is just another.
It's another opportunity for investors, both private and public, to exploit.
Look, there are jobs in Nigeria that are not being exploited because all of what you just said constitute demand. And it's just to go and fill in those demand with supply. So we talk about sophisticated machines to have the right blend of cassava with wheat to make bread.
So it will reduce the quantity of
the demand for wheat,
for wheat.
Yeah,
and it also create jobs, because
it does create jobs.
What it means is that it will make a lot of people to go into cassava farming, knowing that there's a lot of market for it. It will create job. It will create wealth. So it's an initiative that that was started by the previous administration. But I think this government is trying to revive it, because a few weeks ago, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture held a training for bakers in Kano to teach them how to apply 10% of cassava flour in the process of bread making. And if that can catch on, it will reduce our wheat imports and save forex for the country. Which how scarce it is right now in Nigeria.
Mr. Paul, I would like us to go take a short break, and when we come back, we have to discuss this issue of wheat production further. We really do have to discuss it, because it amazes me why we are where we are. But when we come back, so listeners, please stay with us. When we come back from a short break, we'll continue to discuss this issue, and we'll make sure that we thrash it very well. So stay with us.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, you beautiful people out there following us. And thanks for staying with us. You are still on to Leadership Podcast, the agriculture segment of Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Case Hammond, and still with me in the studio is Mr. Paul Wadema. I say thanks for staying with us. So, just before we went on break, we were talking about wheat production, and you talked about mixing as a way of assuaging the problem, mixing cassava flour with wheat flour, and you talked about special machines. But let's talk about wheat again. I'm interested in the topic because natural economics, and it's a natural economic law that, look, once there is a demand for something, a demand for this product, or a demand for this service, that creates an opportunity to make supplies available. So if we have been having this problem of importation of wheat for so long, why hasn't there been enough wheat produced in the country up to now? Now, it gives me this impression that we have a problem that that is sitting on two pedestals. One, either there is not enough orientation or information about the demand which requires supply. But then another thing that I am looking at, which is produced basically in the north. We talk about Borno, we talk about Yobe, Zamfara, just those that cycle.
Yeah,
Now, but
they're also impacted by the
the
insecurity.
insecurity. That's what I want
particularly in
to.
the
Yeah,
north.
yeah. I think that is
It's a factor.
it's a factor.
In
So,
terms of homegrown wheat.
so talk to us about those two issues. Number one, orientation. Why hasn't this demand being met with supplies after so many years? Number two, how this is being impacted by insecurity.
Okay. For a very long time, Nigerian government, both state and federal, have neglected agriculture. So that negligence of agricultural sector erupts virtually every sector of agriculture. Every agricultural produce is affected, be it cocoa, be it palm produce, be it cassava, all whatnot. They were neglected. Don't forget that this is a country where the Malaysians came here and took the palm frond seedling and they became world beaters in it.
And I still
So it's part of the whole negligence of agriculture. So
yes.
we are content since the oil dollar keep on rolling in. We didn't bother about investing in agricultural sector. So wheat farmers, like other farmers, were abandoned. They were neglected. Nobody cares about it. It was like agriculture was left only for the rural dwellers, the illiterates. Okay. But now the chicken has come home to roast. And we have seen that we can't make headway with neglect of agriculture. That's what impacted it.
Yeah.
And then in terms of this bread we are talking about, we have also neglected investment in the flour mill. The reason why Nigeria is passing through what we are passing through today in terms of the cost of bread is because we have not invested in milling, flour milling. We have flour milling. These 5 million metric tons of wheat are demanded by millers in Nigeria.
Yes.
Good. But those millers in Nigeria are now being controlled by foreign millers.
How?
Initially, we have Dangote and Bua. They were millers. They sold their company to foreigners.
Okay.
Bua first sold his own in 2015. Dangote sold his own in 2019. And the people that bought it are the same people. They are foreigners. Okay? So foreigners are controlling almost 80% of the flour mill in Nigeria. So they dictate how they will sell the flour. Of course, if you ask them, they will tell you that is how they bought through forex, the raw materials they use, and cost of production. That's what they will say. But you cannot blame also Bua and Dangote. If you are talking about people who understand Nigerian markets, they are among the best that we have.
Yes.
So whatever made them to divest from their company, from their flour mill, and sold it. Are you getting it?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps they were not getting the kind of return on investment they were looking for, or they wanted to move on. But no other Nigerian, the other Nigerian ought to have seen the potentialities in this sector, so that we have a lot of millers around in the country. So this has affected us, and we I'm a student of demand and supply.
Yeah.
I love it as a determinant of whatever you get. But there's a need for control. One of the company that bought up Dangote and Bua Flour Mill, they have a company, a milling company in Tema in Ghana. But the Ghanaian government stopped them from taking control of flour mill market because they wanted to make sure that they don't strangulate local competitors.
Yes.
Are you getting it?
Yes.
So these are some of the challenges we face. The Nigerian businessmen need to look into investment in the milling sector. They should not abandon it for Indians and the Greece to dominate. And then a Nigerian milling company is controlling barely 7% or thereabout of the market. So these are important things that now if Nigerian companies are controlling the milling market, Aso Villa can invite them to the villa and talk to them as patriotic Nigerians to see what they can do. Are you getting it?
I got you. But there's something to also we need to take into consideration. If you look on page 2 of National Economy newspaper, if you look on page 2, we have that data page there that gives daily record of prices of commodities. And if you look over the past few months, you realize that the price of wheat has actually gone up from somewhere 500 and something dollars per bushel to right now 700 is oscillating between $600 and $700 per bushel. So internationally, even those countries that produce wheat, the price of wheat is going up. That may be that is a contributing factor
It's a contributing factor.
Yes, but the mere fact that we import 98.5% of the wheat that is produced. So the way forward, number one, I see that Nigeria has made available something in the neighborhood of 650,000 hectares of land for the production of wheat. For some reason, I don't know, farmers are not making use or investing in the production of wheat. That being the case, a way out of that situation is to bring, like you were talking about, the mixing of
substitution of wheat.
Yeah, the substitute with
cassava, high quality
cassava
flour.
Yes, the bakers at the time complained that if you use 100% cassava to produce your flour, it has this uncomfortable taste or feel in the mouth. So that mixture is a way to go. But now that means the government has to really do something about getting stakeholders to buy into this idea. To buy into the idea of mixing wheat with flour.
Yes, I think the government is trying to do that. I think they have already started. I told you what they are doing in Kano recently. What they did in Kano recently, where they trained some bakers on how to apply cassava wheat, cassava flour in baking of bread, and they need to spread that training all over the country so that all the bakers will access it.
Yes.
And then beside that, there's a need for investment in wheat farming. And there's a need for central bank, commercial banks to give the enabling environment the kind of loan, single digit loan that could make people to go into wheat farming so that we can be able to produce as much as we can. Because the more we produce, the less we import, and the more forest we save for our country.
It will be a win-win situation, because even the bakers out there, they will realize that people are not patronizing their business as they should, because the price is going up.
Of course,
salaries are not increasing, well, the price of food increasing. Look, everywhere in the world, especially with those Western countries, the USA, Europe, especially Western Europe, they subsidize the supply of food to their farmers. In fact, farming is hardly an unprofitable business in the West. And I say so because you have to find somewhere to sell your products. In fact, they find a way out for you. So I would say, with the gradual implementation of the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, which will remove subsidy from petroleum products, and I suspect it's when the Dangote refinery comes on board that such an implementation will be carried out. But once that is done, that money that has been used to subsidize petroleum products, I think, should go into subsidizing agricultural products, which will make it easier on the people. Easier.
There is no serious nation in the world that doesn't subsidize their agricultural sector.
Yes, it has to be.
In fact, that's one of the challenges they used to have at World Trade Organization, because several countries try to protect their farmers.
Yes, it's high time we did that.
Be competitive.
Look, if people invest in, if the federal government invests in the farmers, and farmers know that this is a money-making business, and that they will not lose money by investing in their farm, more people will go into it. That's agricultural economics, and more people will go into it. I hope people are hearing, policymakers are hearing what we're talking about.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
I hope they do, because this country need increase in productivity.
Yes.
Virtually every sector.
It will even reduce the rate of employment.
Because we cannot afford to have a situation where bread, which is one of the common staple of the common man, you can no longer afford it.
Exactly.
Something needs to be done about it.
Yeah.
No country jokes with that, because we have seen in other climes where price of bread have led to riots in Egypt and Jordan. So it's not
notably these northern countries in Africa and Arab nations.
So
it's
not something we should joke about.
Yeah.
We need to do something.
It's
about
getting serious. It's getting serious.
Support the bakers. We need to see how we train the wheat farmers to grow more, and provide the enabling environment for them in terms of ensuring security all over the country, so that farmers can go to the farm and grow more wheat.
That's much we can take. We have to remind ourselves that the stomach is not patient at all. Once you begin to deny the stomach of what it's supposed to get, it becomes impatient, and it sends message to the brain, and then the brain sends message to the feet and the hands, and then you begin to have riots here and there. So let's hope that the government is going to do something about this. That's the much we can take today on the agriculture segment of Money Radio. Thank you very much, all of you beautiful people out there who have been following us on Money Radio. Thanks, Mr. Paul, for being here with us again. Thanks to our producers, who will say stay with us again tomorrow for another bumper edition of Money Radio. We'll be loyal to you. Please remain loyal to us and stay safe.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.